Oh, crikey. The bloody smell. That's got to be a fuel leak. Lauren, I'm looking at you. Yep, that looks like fuel to me. So she passed her MOT on the Tuesday. We went to paint and bike night on the Wednesday. That was nice. That was fun and games. It was nice to get out with Lauren for the first time, kind of properly for the first time. That was the Wednesday, and then on the Thursday, yeah, as you've just seen, went into the garage and she was leaking fuel. I mean, talk about shit happening. And of course at that time as well, Rafiki still had a screw in his back tyre. So I've been without a bike, or rather without a working bike, for about the past week now. So yeah, Lauren's leaking fuel. I mean, what can we do apart from tear into the bike and see if we can work out what's going on? So me being me decides, you know, how we're gonna find this fuel leak. You know, we've got to start somewhere. Well, let's start with the fuel tank. You know, the fuel tank is where the fuel starts. It's the highest point. So let's start there. Let's lift the tank and see what's what. You know, if we lift the tank and everything's dry, then we'll just work our way down through the system until we find what's what. And by this point, the fuel was everywhere. You know, the fuel had leaked all the way down her swing arm to the lowest point, and was then dropping off the bottom of the swing arm. So I had to start somewhere. I lifted the tank and it was soaking wet. So it really didn't take much for me to find where the fuel was possibly leaking from. You know, once I've lifted the tank and it was clearly soaking wet, I looked under the tank. You've got your fuel pump. Okay, so this car isn't turning right, it's going straight down. Anyway, underneath the tank you've got your fuel pump, and all the bottom of the fuel pump was wet as well. Clearly seemed to be leaking from there. You've got one fuel connector, and you've got the fuel pump itself, and it could have been leaking from either, but because it was wet all around the fuel pump, I was thinking fuel pump seal. So I've pulled the tank off, took it into my shed, dried the bottom of the tank, and just watched as the fuel carried on dripping out, which it did. So at that point I'm thinking, this is definitely fuel pump seal that's gone, this is. And once I had partially removed the fuel pump, you know, just far enough to get to the seal, I pulled the seal off and it was obvious. I mean, it was pretty crusty and it was partially stuck to the tank. But once I got the fuel pump seal off, it was obvious that it was the culprit. It was pretty grim and it was split in one point. And so, yeah, I think it was always going to leak. I mean, to be fair, the bike was in my garage for about 10 weeks before getting our MOT. I had the bike for about 10 weeks and there were no leaks, but there was very little fuel in the bike, so there was very little fuel to leak out. On the way to the MOT station, of course, I went to petrol garage, put about, I don't know, 12 litres of fuel in, and I think the extra added weight of that fuel had overcome the seal and leaked past. So again, even on the MOT, garage man wouldn't have, you know, MOT man wouldn't have picked up on it, because the bike was parked in my garage. After paint and bike night last week, the bike was parked in my garage for, you know, best part of 24 hours before we, well, was it 24? Yeah, 24 hours before the fuel leaks had started to show. So with the fuel pump seal off and ordered, I say ordered like it was an easy 5-minute job, it wasn't. It took a while for me to find the correct one. Luckily I still had this little sticker on the bottom of the fuel pump which had a part number on it. So after checking that part number, etc., managed to find the right seal and get it ordered. Got it ordered on a 48-hour delivery, and then just set about cleaning everything. You know, I had to clean the mating surfaces of the tank and the fuel pump, which was all gunked up with crap, so cleaned all of that up. Had to kind of clean and dry all of the electrical connections that were under the tank, because of course they'd gotten soaking wet. And I managed to get fuel on the fuel filler cap, specifically on the freshly painted part, so that had to get repainted, and it looks okay again. You know, I'm happy with the way it looks, but I think I need to replace my fuel filler cap with something. I don't want a non-locking version. I do like the look of them, you know, the alloy ones, they look alright, but no, I like the locking version, because I don't know where I'm going to be, where I'm going to leave the bike, how long I'm going to leave the bike for, and you just don't want someone tampering with your fuel. You know, if I do go that route of the non-locking version, then, you know, so be it, but no, I definitely want to get something like what I've got now. But yeah, that got repainted. The fuel seal turned up 48 hours later, and then it was just a case of refitting everything. But as well as cleaning everything, there was paint. Like, it's almost like the fuel pump had been fitted with its retaining ring, and then the entire thing had been repainted, which looked a little bit odd. And as soon as I started cleaning, of course, all of that paint, almost extra paint, you know, all the stuff that was on the fuel pump and on the retaining ring, all of that just started cleaning off, and it actually didn't look too bad actually in the end. When the job was finally done. I need to reset my clock. I definitely need to reset the clock on this bike. I haven't worked out how to do that yet, so that's another job. That's another job for Google. So yeah, so overall my joy at Lauren passing her MOT last week was short-lived. You know, it was great for 24 hours, and it was great to get over to paint and bike night. And then we had essentially our first on the road problem. You know, we spent 10 weeks working through all of those other problems, and yes, this was the first on the road problem. I mean, shit happens, it really does, and you know, you've just got to get on and do something about it. Fortunately, I was able to get the seal. I fitted it. I mean, I'm talking only a couple of hours ago I finished the job. No, I fitted the seal last night to the tank, left the tank propped up overnight, came back, there was no leaks underneath, so got to refitting the tank today, finished the job a couple of hours ago. And having, it sounds daft, but having not had a bike for a week, I just really need to get out. And you know, okay, it was only a week, but I'm used to being out on bikes almost every single day, you know. You know, and going from being out on a bike almost every single day to not having a bike for a week. It's odd, but it's taken its toll on me, man, and I just need to get out, and I need to get back in with other bikers. And unfortunately none of my mates are here today, so I'm going to do this one on my own. Yeah, I don't mind doing this one on my own. Not that I think I'll be here every week, but I tell you what, so far I have been. Who let these cars park here, eh? Terrible. I must be later than normal. This is yeah, we're quite far down today. Well, we may have been a week without a bike, but it's good to be back.